I'm making my annual pilgrimage to Manitoulin Island for their deer hunting season. My season's wrapped up. Every year I come here, and I think I'm the first one at the hunt camp this evening. I see there was a fire laid earlier today, so I'll stoke that up. And I'm just getting myself unpacked. I like to bring a few interesting meats for at the hunt camp, so I brought some bear meat, some walleye, some ling fillets, and a couple of other things. So Keith said to bring my chainsaw, so I brought it. And I'm gonna try this out. I really hummed and hawed about this premix fuel, but I was in the Princess Auto the other day and I decided to buy some, mainly because you can transport it without it smelling up your car, which is one nice thing about it, and you don't have to mess around with mixing your oil and gas. The other thing is it's got like an 8 or a 10 year shelf life, which is pretty amazing. And even after you open them, they have a 2-year shelf life. So I think if you only do a little bit of sawing, or you only need a little bit of gas, I mean, I can cut a pile of fuel wood with that much gas. So I think that was worth the price. I also brought a little generator, and we often run all the lights with a gas generator, but what I'm going to do this year is I brought the EcoFlow Delta, and I'm going to see if we can just run the hunt camp off of this for 3 days. The camp is already wired inside for lights, and the wire comes out here. I guess it's this blue one, so that if you plug that into a generator, that powers all those lights in the camp. So I think I could just plug that into the EcoFlow, and that would probably run all those lights no problem for quite a period of time. But what I brought, and you've probably seen these before, are some LED shop lights. So they've got a 120 volt AC plug-in, but they're very low power draw. So I should be able to set them up here out of the way, plug them in. And then the other nice thing is there's so many plugins on this EcoFlow, you can easily charge all of our cell phones or on radios, all that kind of business. Run my 12 volt cooler, and what I like to do with these is just to angle them up at the ceiling so they don't shine directly in anybody's eyeballs, but they press and hold for DC power, press and hold for AC power. There it is. Turn that one off, turn this one on. There, so angle those up. Just at the ceiling, it'll bounce some light around, and then you can see pretty well in here. Alright, well, everybody is doing farm chores, I think. There's about an hour before dark, so I suppose what I should do is do a little quick switcheroo and gear up for a deer hunt. lot of these properties that we hunt are mixed cedar bush interspersed with cattle fields. It's pretty good deer habitat. Sometimes it's tricky to move through quietly, but you always have that chance as you come out to a hayfield that you're going to see some deer feeding out there. And same thing inside the cedar bush, there's always a good chance that you're going to see them browsing their way through, or they might be bedded down. So in situations like this, I find you really want to ease up to these hayfields, and you want to be looking as far ahead of you as you can, long before you actually get to the edge of the hayfield. And you can't actually tell on camera, but I can see some of the hayfield through the branches of the trees over here. So while I'm always wanting to look up ahead, I have to remember to keep an eye out through the branches and the trees over here and see as far away from me as I can. I'm going to plug in a couple of new lights also. So Olight sent me these because they got a big promo coming up, and I have to admit that I'm probably the most interested in this headlamp, although I'm not sure about this hand wave control feature. Anyway, that'll be something to try out. Oh, they got super fancy packaging now too, with layers. And you've probably seen this guy on my channel before, the baton. So it's in a flask, the light comes out, and there's like a battery, and then the battery and the light itself. So these guys are continually charging inside of their protective case. This is the limited summer edition. Pretty nice. So there's a promo on those as well. So I'm going to unpackage those guys, and I'm going to get them charging up over here. And I realize I could put this outside and I could run all the camp lights off of it, but then this is going to be out, and I want to have it in where I can keep all these things charged up in the phones. So maybe I will go set up the generator for this evening anyway. If you don't mind burning gas, those little 1000 watt generators, you can't kill them. Okay, we can turn that off for now. Let's see what we have here. The Olight Array. This is not a flashlight that I am familiar with yet, but I am interested to meet its acquaintance. What do we got here? Always fancy packaging on the Olights. User manual. Well, maybe we'll just see if it's intuitive. Oh, it's got all the light at the back. Nick likes these kind of headlamps. He's got one that's got the battery in the back and then the tactical wire running up to the front. So that means the battery is back here, and that's the charging port. But I think before first use, please remove the protective film on the lens. Okay, well, we did that. Now, often there's a little battery cover, but I don't see a battery cover on here. So let's just plug this guy in and see if it takes a charge. Okay, oh, it's the same as my cellular phone. It's the USB-C. Plug it in. And got some fancy charge lights happening here. So we'll set that guy aside. Get that one going. Let's this guy's going to be back any moment, so keep a tidy space here. Nick's always got good things on the menu, and Keith's wife always has some nice baking for us. This one's in a plastic. That's not going to work. Left my knife in my other pockets. That was silly. Go out. Uh-oh. No, I didn't. Oh no, what have I done with my knife? Oh, I know what I did. Put it on top of my camera case, and then I dropped it and forgot about it. Dumb. Okay. A little bit of plastic for the garbage. This one here, this one takes 2 AAA batteries. It's like a big long pocket light, or a shirt pocket light, so that's pretty cool. I might open that one up later. But let's get this Baton 3 open. Thank you for watching my videos, even though I sometimes do a lot of product review. I know not everybody likes that. Don't worry, there's going to be lots of deer hunting and hunt camp life. Oh, this one's heftier than my other one, I think. That I opened it up saying it's already got a charge, although they never come fully charged. So let's see here. That was separating that charger from this charger, and this charger uses a little USB. There'll be one in here, and then whenever you have this sitting in here, it's charging off of the big battery that's inside. And this one right now has no juice. Let's have a little look. That's because it's got a little cover on there. They do say to fully charge it before the first use, so let's follow the instructions and let's charge it up. Okay, well, this one's got a fancy silicone cable retainer. They're just getting fancier and fancier, boys and girls. Oh, is that a USB-C also? There we go. And we'll plug it in to fast charge ports. Boom! Now, there's our charge indicator there, that little red light. So that one is charging. This one looks like a landing strip. That's still charging. We'll try those out later because it is dark out now.
Those are looking pretty good, eh?
They're looking so good. Super good. So we're talking about hunting stories from last year, and Nick's cooking tenderloins and chops from, you tagged out on a
Little buck fawn
on the opening day. So all the pressure is off for Nick, who's not going to do any morning hunts, is going to sleep, or any at all. Yeah, and Keith hasn't tagged out yet, so Keith and I are hunting hard.
I haven't hunted yet. I just put out some apple hunts all 7 years.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of them around. Now, YouTube's gonna make me pay royalties to this artist, but like I can't resist showing you this vintage radio, which is awesome. And we're fully charged on the headlamp, and we're fully charged on the Baton 3. So that's exciting. We'll try those out. Hey Nick, what's that sauce? Oh, it's just wild blackberries in my homegrown wine and my own maple syrup.
Yep.
Nothing special. That looks good.
Actually, I've had to resort to buying wine, which is...
Oh!
Hey.
It's go time?
Yep.
This is sauce for the meat.
It is.
Veggies on the barbecue. Really, really good.
I did not do any salt or pepper.
Roast veggies. You said this is blueberries or?
Blackberries.
Blackberries. Oh yeah. And then the meat.
What's that? Meat thermometer. This is going the meat too. Oh, it's got a... They didn't wash it when they put it away, but that's a nicer one than...
Check out a spot. So I definitely saw more sign in the first bit of hunting last night than I've seen in my home hunt the whole time that I hunted my season. Our side mirrors were within an inch of hitting each other. Anyway, I'm gonna head over to a spot that hasn't been hunted yet this year, and it's a pretty nice spot. It's got a big hay field, and then it's all cedar bush with a couple of little hay fields. A lot of the properties are kind of like that here. Big hay field at the road, and then a lot of cedar bush with hay fields or pastures in between. And one of the tricky things about hunting on Manitoulin Island is although it's a hot spot for deer, it is something like 98% privately owned, so there are not a lot of public hunting opportunities. So it's very restrictive in that you have to know somebody, or you have to rent a space, and the nice thing is that there are still lots of big private property acreages here, so there are opportunities to hunt some pretty good tracts of land. Alright, I'll show you our spot. Now I remember last night Keith was saying he's got a black Angus bull running on one of his properties, and I actually forget which property he was talking about. So we might have an encounter with a bull cow out there somewhere. The way I'm going to approach this, it's kind of coming from my back and my left. It's moving across this way. So what I'd like to do is hunt along to the right here, get up into that maple bush at the back. From the maple bush you can see the field in behind these trees all the way across. So it's a good vantage point to get the binoculars out and have a little look, see what's going on. Well, there was more deer tracks there than I've seen anywhere else yet this year. That was a pretty good pretty good snoop around. So we're changing gears. We came back for breakfast. Nick always makes us a real nice breakfast, so I am going to cut up some firewood because we are short on firewood. Pushed down and turned open. Look at that. This feels like pretty high-tech, cushy. It's weird. It's like super clear gas for mix. Used to seeing a little more color in it from the oil, but I'm interested to give a little try. And I got my eye on a poplar tree that Keith spotted that needs a good cutting, and then there's also a nice cedar tree that we're gonna hack up to for some good kindling blocks or quick fire blocks. Okay, I ran out of bar oil the other day. I was working on those big trees on my house. I had plenty of gas, but I ran out of bar oil. Bloop, 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 bloop. This is the fall and winter bar oil. It's not that cold out right now, so it's pretty thin. Okay. See what we got going on here. Choke it. Running a 4-slice toaster off of the EcoFlow, and oh, I see what's going on. It'll run that toaster for 38 minutes. That's some serious draw. It's drawing 1400 watts right now. This is maybe not a wise use of the power, but we can go plug it in later and power it back up. Cut a little more wood after lunch, and then Keith and I went over and fixed a bale spike on one of his tractors. So afternoon hunt, just after 2 o'clock, and this property is hayfield at the front, and then it goes up a series of escarpments and ends on the top in a big kind of a white oak savanna, I would call it. and there are deer everywhere between here and the top. So my plan, the wind's not great for hunting this property today, but I'm going to take this west side fence line up the escarpments right up to the top. I'll be underneath some of these wind turbines that you see up here, and then I'm going to snoop around up in that plateau, just kind of tippy-toe around, try and work the wind in my favor as best I can. And I want to pick some junipers up there as well. There's some really good juniper bushes where the deer hide, and usually I find one that's got some ripe fruits on it. So let's head up there. Coyote or bear down there. It's about 12-14 inches across. It's right on a steep little hill here. It's about 40 minutes till dark. There's a doe out at the end of the field here. I basically, when I popped out to the top, there was a buck crossing way out in the middle here. So I went down to the back fence just to see if he bedded down there or not, but I didn't find him. And then on the way back, I saw a little splash of white, and it was that deer's tail. So I've just been picking juniper berries and keeping an eye on her and looking around to see if any bucks come out. So I was watching that one doe, and she perked right up. And I looked to my left, and there was a doe and a fawn running straight at me. They crossed the fence maybe 15 meters in front of me, and they just kept bouncing all the way across the field. They never stopped. So I wondered what had scared them, so I got the binoculars out, and I had a little peek over here, and there was another doe and fawn, and they were just feeding like nothing was the matter. That first doe, she got nervous and she jumped back across the fence. So I thought I'd start making my way back, and then I heard Nic's dad Keith start shooting. So it's going to be dark pretty soon, but he's just down the escarpment from me, and hopefully there's also a deer there. Although in my experience, when you miss the first shot, usually any more you take after that are misses as well. So we'll find out. I saw another last doe in one of those hay fields as I was walking out, and Keith's already left, so I guess it may not have been him shooting after all, or he might have shot, missed, checked, and headed back towards the camp. Anyway, I'm going to give this Olight a try because I hear a branch scraping around underneath the car. So I figure out if you wave your hand in front of it down, it gets dimmer, and if you go up, it gets brighter. I don't know if the... Oh wow, that got super bright. There's some left and right functions to it. I'm not really sure how I feel about that just yet, because it seems as if you're walking through the bush and there's branches in front of you, maybe your light's going to be going up and down and doing whatever. I don't see anything dragging. This light's pretty comfy. I never had a light that had the batteries on the back. and just a little light on the front. So I kind of realized how front heavy my other headlamp is. Yeah, that seems alright. That's a good little light. Well, we're going to, I'm going to go back to the camp and go see what's going on for supper. Maybe see if there's a cold beer there somewhere. And then we're going to tell stories and make plans for tomorrow, which is the last day of the season here. Yeah, it's getting close to the end. Okay. We need some gas, and we need the generator. Up there. Top it up. So apparently that was not Keith shooting. There must have been a neighbor shooting right after Keith left. So we did not get a deer today. We have all day tomorrow, last day. As I mentioned earlier, we'll tell stories and make plans and reminisce about other years and take all of our collective wisdom and turn it into a deer hunting plan. I think there was some old gas in this generator. I had a hard time getting it started last time. So hopefully, now that I've got some clean gas in it, it's just choke and go. First we have to turn the on switch on. Oh, there we go. Camp power. So it's raining out, but it is the last few hours of the 2021 rifle season, so we are going to go out and do our best to fill my tag with a buck. Funny thing just happened to me. I went over to Nick's house. We were setting up a camera for him to monitor livestock and visitors on his farm, and holy smokes, his cooney pigs have dropped 3 litters in the last couple of weeks, and they are super cute. I'm gonna splice in a little bit of footage here, and you just watch some footage of his very cute piglets. But I was telling a story. When I left his farm, driving along, I frightened us. There was a doe right down in the ditch, and I scared her, and she jumped out of that ditch and put her head and her legs right through a page wire fence, and I saw her do like a flip, and so I put on the brakes and I backed up because I didn't know how badly tangled up that deer was going to be. Now it turns out, as I backed up and I got to the spot where she was, she just freed herself from the fence and then went bouncing along across the fields. But that could have ended poorly for that deer, and I've definitely once before I did find a deer skeleton tangled up in a page wire fence one time. It looked like it was a not too big fawn, and couldn't clear the fence but got jammed in between the page wire, which is probably a terrible way to go. Anyway, it's pretty raining. I'm going to do a long, slow stalk through 2 farm properties. I'm going to end up on the next concession where I'll get picked up after dark. This is a walk that I do almost every year on the last day of the season, and it usually goes pretty well. Nick and I have a history of shooting deer in the last 5 minutes on the last day, so that could happen. I almost always always see about a dozen when I go through there, which you know, it's challenging when you're on foot. Usually I see more does than bucks, but there's always a lot of buck sign, and I'm just every year trying to crack the code a little more on what's going on in that or those two adjacent properties. So the this camera is not coming with me, but I will bring my cell phone in case something interesting happens in there, which hopefully is the case. I guess the deer don't mind the weather too much. So this is one of Keith's farms, and I see a deer in the back feeding over there. There's a little right over in through there, there's a doe or a fawn. There she is, right at the back. So they are out and about despite the weather. Well, that was a cold, wet finish to my 2021 season, rifle season that is. I still have my tag and there's still an archery season, but I'm pretty satisfied with the way that my season went, and I got a lot of responsibilities pulling on me, so I think that's probably my last deer hunt for the season. But I'll tell you how it happened. On that last evening, I was kind of creeping along trying to play the wind. I ended up in some new habitats that I didn't know were on that farm, which was pretty interesting. It's a big property, and I got very close to two does and a fawn, so I had bumped them once or maybe twice, but after sneaking around and stalking and working the cover, I ended up close enough to the fawn that I could have jumped out and touched it. So that was pretty cool. I was just standing behind a tree and it was browsing along right up beside me, and then it just came around behind me enough to catch my scent trail, and then away it went like a shot. So that was a super cool experience. The other thing I saw that I hadn't seen before is I caught a real flash of white across the field, and the fields there are all red osier dogwood, so pretty easy for deer to sneak in and out of there without being seen, depending on the height of those dogwoods. But this white flash that I saw across the field was a white-faced doe. She, her ears were white and her whole face was white. It was like she was wearing a white mask, and I haven't seen that before. So, you know, I found some new spots. I learned some new things. I had that experience of stalking up real close to those two does and that fawn on foot, which, you know, is I feel like it's quite the feat to be able to ground hunt like that. That was very rewarding, and so now I'm just left with plans for next year and memories of years past. So this is a pretty special deer that I harvested on Manitoulin Island previously during the big wild year in 2019. So it was a big contributor to my supply of wild food in that season, and also kind of the first time that I've done a European mount that worked out so well. So pretty excited about that. I have another one. I shot a nice little spike-horn last year. Had a hunt where I saw a fellow a little bit, or even a lot bit bigger than this guy, and what happened there, I had a really nice shot, but no matter how I moved and angled myself, there was just one branch between me and him covering his vitals, and I didn't want to risk that shot. And so what ended up happening is he kept moving on, and I harvested a nice fat spike-horn that was coming along behind him. So I feel like I've got those properties figured out a little bit better after this year. Spent some really good quality time with Nic and his dad Keith, and definitely looking forward to the next one. So also looking forward to bringing you some more hunts next season. Stay strong, YouTube.